Hot Flash Mama podcast. This week, we're going to talk about the top questions that people ask about menopause. So I'm going to break it down into 4 different podcasts. This will be number 1. In this podcast, we are going to be answering questions about hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, dry skin, and the 3 Ps of menopause. So if you're struggling with hot flashes and night sweats are keeping you up at night, if any of these symptoms are just bugging you day after day, on today's show, I'm going to share with you some amazing natural solutions, some great natural health remedies that I use that help me to just change the way I felt and improve my health in a huge way. Please keep in mind that I am not a doctor and I do not play one on TV. I know you're probably going to get sick of that little saying, but it makes me laugh. And any nutritional supplementation or any program that you start on, you always should check with your healthcare practitioner. You should always check with your doctor before starting any exercise or healthcare program. This is not intended to treat, diagnose, or prevent any disease. It is healthcare advice that I used in order to balance my hormones when I was going through all of the fun stuff. It worked wonders for me, and I just hope that it also works for you. When it comes time to choose how you want to handle the symptoms of menopause or pre-menopause or peri-menopause, your options are usually going to be either naturally a natural solution that works with the body and can mimic the body's own production of whatever it is that you're trying to supplement. You have the medical approach, which is usually hormone replacement therapy, using synthetic hormones, using synthetic drugs that may cause the body to reduce in symptoms. And then I happen to, in all of my digging, find these strange supplements that exist. They are touted for being natural supplements, but the ingredients are not natural. Just because they work, it doesn't mean it's complementary or beneficial for the body. So you want to be really careful when you make a decision, and you want to make sure that you're using and sticking with one program in the beginning, especially. You want to know what works, and you also don't want to overlap the medicinal part with the natural part with the whatever the crazy stuff is that I found on the internet that touts the solution to all of those symptoms. If it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. So the number 1 question that almost always pops up is about hot flashes. These come on out of nowhere, and they can make you absolutely miserable. And there's a reason I chose Hot Flash Mama for the name of my podcast, because I had them all day, all the time. I felt like I was always in a heater. It was crazy. According to NAMS, 75% of North American women experience hot flashes. Hot flashes can be followed with a rapid heartbeat or an irregular heartbeat. You might feel heart palpitations. Your skin may actually flush and turn red. Sometimes it gets all prickly and sticky. You almost always break a sweat, and so it's sometimes followed by the chills. I feel like hot flashes are the first symptom that most people notice because you really can't help but notice them. Another one is a night sweat. I'm pretty sure that a night sweat is a hot flash in the middle of the night with a ton of covers on. You have this incredible surge of heat. Your body starts to sweat and flush. You're under covers, so it tends to intensify it. And then poof, you wake up and you think you wet the bed. If you want to hear my funny story, I shared it in the introduction episode. It was basically the main thing that opened my eyes and made me realize that I was in the middle of menopause when I was in my early 30s. One of the best results that I got from relief of my symptoms, the hot flashes and night sweats, and honestly, most all of the other symptoms that come about was the progesterone cream. And I was very grateful that my friend was there to kind of open my eyes to it because I didn't even know it existed, honestly. Since I was able to actually correct my symptoms because it was way premature, and I was using the progesterone cream to help balance out my hormones along with some other supportive things. Once I got regulated, I didn't need it anymore. So I didn't use it for quite some time, actually 10 years, 15 years maybe. And when I started looking for it again after my symptoms started happening in the last few years, I couldn't find it. I'm pretty sure that company didn't survive. It was just a small company, and I know it was ran by a mother and her daughter. But I was able to locate another product that I feel like it's such a great product. Number one, it has a pre-measured pump so that you will know exactly how much you're using each time you use it. So you're using the recommended dosage. And it clearly tells you on the label how to use it. It tells you that you need to rotate it, cycle it. Make sure you're not using it during the days that you have a cycle or you should be having a cycle. Even if you do not have a menstrual cycle any longer, you want to make sure that you continue to treat your body as though it is having one as far as the cycling of whatever it is that you're using for it. If you want your body to kind of get back into a normal groove and eliminate a lot of those symptoms that are giving you so much discomfort. Now, what do I mean by following this cycle? Every woman and man's body has a cycle. That cycle, for example, is usually a 28-day cycle, 21 days on just being kind of normal, and then 7 days of a menstrual cycle. Now, you may not have an menstrual cycle the entire time during that 7 days, but symptoms are stronger. You may have spotting, you may have bloating, cramping. We all know what that means. Some people have a shorter cycle and some people have a longer cycle. The important thing is do what your body is used to. Whatever cycle you had before is what you want to use again as a guideline. So you would go and use the product for 21 days, but you would go off for 7 days as though you were on your period. As I mentioned on each show, I am going to go ahead and link the products that I talk about in the description. That way, if you decide this is the same product you want to use, you can have it right there at your fingertips. Now, I do have a disclaimer that if you use any of my links, there's a possibility I will get a little kickback. And if you use it, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate you, but it is not a requirement for you to do that. I just try to make it easy for you because that's what I like. Now, there's another really great product that's out there that can actually help with symptoms, and you can use these items together if you're in full-blown, perimenopausal symptoms and you have a lot of multiple symptoms. I like using the progesterone cream first because I feel like it's naturally kind of making my body regulate. Now, this one is called Terry Naturally. It's a menopause relief. It's a formula that has your herbal ingredients. It has rhodiola, which is really great for stress, and we all need that. And then it has your black cohosh complex in it. It's a very beneficial product to take if you're it helps with hot flashes and the night sweats. It helps with your mood changes and your being tired, your fatigue. So it's a really great product. Number 3 on our list is vaginal dryness. Along with vaginal dryness comes itching. So I want to help you with a solution for these two problems because this is something you do not want to ignore. The tissue lining is super delicate, and when it's dry, it's more prone to tearing and bleeding, and that can make you absolutely miserable. It's also not something that we are going to want. It's not going to incentivize us to have sex if our lady parts are itching and miserable. One of the best ways that you can help that problem is by staying hydrated. Trying to decide how much water you need on a daily basis is pretty easy. You take your body weight, divide it by 2, and convert that number to ounces. So if you weighed 150 pounds, half of that is 75. You're going to use that as ounces. So 75 ounces of water a day is a great rule of thumb for staying hydrated. Another really great thing that you can do naturally internally for vaginal dryness is you can start taking some fish oil. What I love about fish oil is that it can actually help the body retain more moisture. And that will in return help your body, all of your skin, actually internal or external, become softer and more supple. Now, those are my first choices on how to handle the dry skin and itchy feeling, but I understand they take time to kick in. So another great couple of options that will give you more of an instant gratification. Number 1 is a personal lubricant. I absolutely love aloe vera. There's a couple of great ones that are aloe vera based. The first one it's by Aloe Life, and it's a personal lubricant that can actually help with the itchiness and dry skin internally. What I love about the Aloe Life one is that not only are you getting it you can use it as a personal lubricant, you can also use it for intercourse. And then there's another one called Aloe Cadabra, like abracadabra, but it's like Aloe Cadabra. And that one they recommend whether you can use it all the time, and it's just a personal lubricant, which can be used both for intercourse or without. So if you have that dryness and the itchiness, those are some really good options for you to think about so that you're taking good care of the inside of your body. I just want to mention one more. It is a personal lubricant that is actually for intercourse, and it's called Good Clean Fun. And that one is a little less natural compared to the other two, but it has really great reviews on Amazon. So I wanted to bring that one to your attention. Number 4 is dry skin. Now, I've done an entire episode on dry skin and wrinkles, anti-aging, all the things that you can do when you start noticing the aging skin when you're in perimenopause or menopause. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. If you would like to have that show, I will put it in the description so you could go back and listen to that. Bottom line is dry skin equals wrinkles. It also is very itchy, and we talked about that with the one before, vaginal dryness. There are a few things that you can do, such as fish oil that we talked about. That should help with your dry skin also. Collagen can be super helpful, and it's something I think most every woman should be on, no matter how far into the menopausal stage they are. Our 5th and last question: what is the difference between pre, peri, and postmenopause? Most people will tell you that pre and peri are actually the same thing. Perimenopause is the medical term we use when the body's hormone production tends to fluctuate and then decrease. That is what happens before menopause. And we know menopause means pause the menses. That is what happens when we are no longer fertile. So the process of the hormones slowing down and shutting down is where we get all of those symptoms, and that happens in perimenopause. Most people will notice the hot flashes, the night sweats, and all of the things that we've talked about in perimenopause, but some may start it even before that due to environmental situations. And that is where Dr. John Lee, the book that I've referred to you, What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Menopause. And I'm going to post a link for that in the description so that you can check it out if you're interested. But that is where he talks about premenopause syndrome. That is before perimenopause. And it is where a lot of the environmental or things that we're taking, it may be induced medically environmentally. It could even be just the xenoestrogens, which are plastics or the perfumes that when you put them on your body or you breathe them in, they can actually act like a xenoestrogen, which is a false estrogen, but it has the same effect on our body. And it can actually be an even stronger and harder to manage effect. So a lot of young women are going into this premenopausal syndrome that he refers to because of their diet or the beauty products that they put on, if they're very heavily scented, if they wear perfume all the time. Some fabric softeners and things like that can be contributed to that. That is why women tend to be having symptoms earlier. There's actually a lot of people that are saying menopause symptoms are going to continue to get worse and last longer, even though we have more medical help than we used to. So that is the number one reason I like to do everything naturally, because I like to try to balance everything and bring it into its normal so that I'm not having to deal with additional side effects that I'm having to, try to figure out. Perimenopause is where these symptoms all tend to come into play. And then when you stop having a menstrual cycle for about a year, then you kind of qualify for the menopausal state. After you have been without a menstrual cycle for up to 10 years, they say about 10 years is before they qualify you as being postmenopausal. Most women realize that after a few years, they're probably not going to have any more cycles at all, menstrual cycles, but you may experience some spotting, and that does happen. As a matter of fact, when you start using the progesterone cream or some nutritional supplements, maybe some bioidentical hormones, anything like that, where you bring your body back into produce hormone production again, you may notice that your cycle comes back, not generally long term, but it may come back a month or two, or you may have spotting again if you hadn't had a menstrual cycle in years and you start using a progesterone cream or something, you might experience some bleeding at that point. That ends today's show, and I would just like to say thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we are going to be talking about reduced libido, insomnia, and mood changes. We'll talk about those on next week's show of Hot Flash Mama Podcast.